All right, guys. All right, YouTube. Let's get ready to do this. I'm ready. I'm ready. Here we go. All right, guys. We're going to go live here on Facebook and Instagram and also on Global Sports Broadcasting Network right here on GSBN. It's Hanna Time. YouTube people, get ready. Instagram, get ready. All right, here we go. All right. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back to Global Sports Broadcasting Network. It is Hanna Time. More on this Thursday. Live on YouTube. Live on Facebook and Instagram. And right here live on Global Sports Broadcasting Network.com. Check out the live stream if you want to listen to it on your app, on your phone, on your device, at work. If not, just watch me, and we'll talk. And we'll have a lot of interaction. I want to get your thoughts on some topics today. Not many topics, but enough to carry us through one good strong hour of sports talk radio right here on GSBN. And I'll tell you what, though, the sports world in football really got talking yesterday when you're dealing with the NFL football season expansion to 17 games. We brought this up months ago when it was talked about it, but now it's one step closer. The NFL is one step closer to getting a 17 game schedule. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about also the other side of the story. How does it benefit the players? Will they accept it? The downfall, the money involved, how much money is being made. 17 games is a lot. Players' bodies are beat up, but we'll break it down for you. It's all kind of been played out and talked about, agreed upon in certain ways, but the players need to vote on it. Okay, will they accept it? Tom Brady has a new team in hot pursuit. We'll talk about that. Man, Tom Brady is going to get a lot of attention, folks. If you're just looking for 1 or 2 years of getting to a Super Bowl and you need a quarterback, and maybe you have a decent quarterback, you still may want to think about Tom Brady. Like it's real in that aspect because it's big money involved. You win big if you have Tom on your roster. Even if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's big time when you have Tom Brady. The money, the interest, everything. Cardinals offseason roster moves, expectations. We'll dabble into that a little bit. And would you trade up for a Joe Burrow, a very high-level college rookie coming into the NFL, number 1 draft pick overall expected? What teams would want to trade up for that guy? And why would the Cardinals ignore it? They have Kyler Murray, but their past history in Arizona been kind of odd leading into and during draft day. This is year 3 with it. Is everything going to be calm and quiet in Arizona with the way they've been handling their top picks and decision-making with their quarterback situation? It looks like it's settled down, and they're fine with Kyler Murray. But then again, I don't know what Steve Keim's thinking, and I don't know if anybody really knows. But we'll wait and see what happens. But around the league, there's a lot of interest of trading up for Joe Burrow right now. There's a lot of rumors flying about his decision, not quite all in Cincinnati, who has the pick. Major League Baseball, Astros still talking smack. Astro players about us against them, us against the world. We'll talk about another comment coming out of that locker room. Why? Why do you got to speak about it? Just do your job and let's see what happens. Okay, let's say hi to some people here. I know the excitement is there. Anytime we talk football, it just gets growing. Orlando Dillon. Hey, Orlando, my friend. Orlando, how you doing, my man? Lucille. Jacqueline in the house. Thank you for the love. Dawn, Choo Choo's back. Where's a choo choo train? Is right there. Blow the horn. All righty. Good morning to you, Don, and well, actually, good afternoon, good evening in the UK. What? There's the horn blowing choo choo. We got Lucille. Lucy, good morning, and have to get back to work. Thank you for popping in. Todd and Gabriel, and who else will pop it in here? Candy, sweet Candy in the house. So we got Yankee Lopez. Man, that guy, he needs to be on the show more, Yankee. I like Yankee Lopez. All right, we have who else? Kenny says, keep Kyler. I think most people will believe that and assume that. I'm not trying to stir the pot. I'm just thinking there's a really good quarterback out there, and a lot of teams can use a really good quarterback, young one. And well, with the Cardinals, I mean, do you think Kyler Murray is a better fit? Maybe he is with that system. But could Joe Burrow be a better fit for that Cliff Kingsbury system? Like, I think anybody's a good fit for Cliff Kingsbury's system. It's not like it's such an odd system in Arizona. So let's remember that with the Cardinals. Like, it's not such a different, unique system. We've seen a lot of those plays, and everybody throws a monkey wrench in the whole thing here and there, and different play here and there. But it's nothing that extraordinary. Not even extraordinary in a lot of ways. It isn't. So I think any mobile, good quarterback, young, can learn and do very well in that system. A veteran would pick it up right away. Like if a Tom Brady showed up in Arizona for a couple of years and mentored a Kyler Murray, which I don't think will happen. I don't think Tom will come here because he doesn't want to get beat up. Not with that offensive line. But the system itself fits a lot of different quarterbacks. I don't think it's specially for Kyler Murray itself. All right. So let's get that out of the way. Tom Branham in the house. Hey, Tom, good morning. Boom, boom. There you go. And the boob. Got a haboob coming this summer. Todd said, here's my take on Tom Brady. Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks all time. But on the other hand, he's a liar. He's a cheater. I know you're going with this one. And deleted footballs and destroyed evidence. The Patriots did. I know it. We hear it all the time. All right, let's get into this story about the 17-game schedule for the NFL. Okay, the NFL. We knew this was being talked, but now it's one step closer. A 17-game season, expanded playoffs also included. So you're going to have an expanded playoffs. We talked about that. We broke down the scenario, how it's going to play out. We'll do it again. Okay, but the CBA proposal. This is a proposal now. It looks like verbally or people have been said this is sort of agreed upon that it looks like it's going to go through for many reasons, but there's a few reasons that it may not, and we'll talk about that. So we just got to hold on and wait because the NFL players still got to decide on this, okay? The union itself, too. So according to multiple reports, the NFL is expected to add 2 teams to the playoffs, 1 in each conference, reduce the number of playoff buys, okay, which means instead of 2 teams get a bye, 1 team from each conference get a bye, and add a game to the regular season and remove one of the preseason games. And that is also for the upcoming 2020 season as part of the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA. Now, before we go any further with that report, the regular season can be expanded this year in 2020. That is on the table. It looks strong. The playoff scenario of expansion would not happen until the following year, I believe. Yes, right? I'm going to double check on that. The following year, it will not expand out. Yeah, 2021. They won't expand that out. Now, more about this. If the playoffs, the new playoff system being proposed was active already, just to give you an idea how last season's postseason playoff teams would have been and who would have gotten in. So that means the extra playoff team in the AFC and the NFC would have been the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC. But the teams that would have gotten the bye, San Francisco and the Baltimore Ravens. they would not have to play in the first round, which is called the wild card round. Everybody has to. Everybody else, like Kansas City, would have had to play in that first round. They would have not got that bye and that time off. They would have to host or would have played the Pittsburgh Steelers, since the Steelers were the lowest seed and the Kansas City Chiefs were the highest seed in that first round of the wild card weekend. The winners of those games in that wild card weekend would go on to the divisional playoff round, the next round. And then those winners go to the conference championship game. Okay. So the Rams would have gone out to Green Bay to play the Packers, because the Packers were the second seed. But in the new proposal for playoff scenario, number 2 seeds do not get the bye week. They will have to play, which rewards the reward for getting a bye is bigger than ever before. It would be bigger than ever before because only one team in each conference gets it. And that is huge. It is huge. Now, in a lot of ways, financially, if you're like the Chiefs, okay, if you're like the Chiefs, you get 2 home games guaranteed this past season instead of, well, you got 2, and you could have had a third one since the Ravens lost. So there's a benefit if you can run the course as a 2 seed, getting 3 home games depending on things in the playoffs, how it breaks down. Now, that's the playoff scenario. When it comes to the 17-game schedule, man, this is really interesting. Okay, how do they break it down? Who do they add in? Do they add another conference team to the schedule? Or do they go out of conference to add that in? Now, if this proposal gets approved by the players in the NFL, they're going to have to go to work and get this out. Now, I will tell you this. The NFL already has the schematics laid out in their office about how this is all going to play out during the regular season, who's playing what, and what that 17th game is, if it's a home or away game, and it's going to, like, for example, if you have a home game this year for that 17th game, then the following year you would be on the road. So it's going to flip-flop every year. My sense is they're going to go to 18 games if everything plays out right. That would be more sensible with an even number. But the NFL feels they have it down with the 17 games. The proposal's there. It's been talked about. They know what it is. It seems very good in their eyes, very comfortable in their eyes. So if this gets approved, then immediately you'll know right away how this is all going to work out. Now, we may get it leaked out already, and I've given you some ideas already, but the actual schedule, the actual games being played in September, what date, traveling, people wanted to go on the road and watching games, a home game. Instead of having 8 home games, you may get a 9th home game this 2020 season. Somebody's getting, half the league is going to get a extra home game this year, from what I understand. Now, while the new playoff format is expected to take effect immediately, okay, I got that backwards. My goodness, I just read that wrong. Let me back it up. It's the 2020 schedule that's going to be implemented in 2021. The playoff schedule will be this season. I got it. I had it backwards. Wow. But so let's clarify it one more time. The NFL playoff format would be immediate this year. The 17-game schedule would be 2021. The NFL does understand and how to lay it out. The planning of how and what teams will play each other has been already organized. But the immediate schedule for 2020 needs time to sort itself out. Now, it's not like the fans know where they're going next year for travel getting on the road, what home games, and building out their whole life around a 17-game schedule. But it's still going to be 16 games in 2020. 2021, it goes 17 games. Now, here is something else about this scenario with the potential fallout of a 17-game schedule. Okay. How and why would it not go through? Here it is. Playoffs, the players don't care. The players don't mind getting an extra team in the playoffs. That gives them a chance to make a Super Bowl run. But when it comes to a 17-game schedule, revenue sharing, players currently getting 47% of the revenue sharing. Think about that, okay? That would increase a little bit over 48% in a 16-game schedule. With a 17-game schedule, it jumps up another half a percentage point. So it means the players would make an additional $5 billion in salaries. So now salaries get bigger. The compensation for the bodily harm and whatever it is that they go through, they can get paid back on. How fair is that money being shared and how evenly it's done and who gets that money compared to the guy who doesn't get paid a lot is a very touchy topic when it comes to the players. Do the players, will they bark at this? Like, first, but then again, the money. The money's in front of them. $5 billion is a lot of money to be shared around the NFL rosters for these players. The NFL has added another, another game in this whole scenario. The players are very skeptical of it. Eliminating a preseason game doesn't really help their cause and their reason why they may not want a 17-game schedule. The NFL wants it. They see big, big dollars internationally. And I talked about this already. Internationally, they know they can now expand bigger and better that way. I see this being more of an opportunity to go globally, traveling teams overseas a lot more because of that odd number 17. Okay. Now, further along, okay, with all this, former Arizona Cardinal Ben Patrick has been very outspoken about this whole entire new proposal by the NFL that the players have to look into or not. Ben Patrick, former tight end of the Arizona Cardinals, he caught a touchdown pass in a Super Bowl. That's probably his biggest catch of his life. But he was a decent one too. Decent tight end. He said this. It depends on revenue when it comes to the players. Okay? $5 billion extra is a lot of money. But this is a clear indicator that the American dollar still surpasses players' safety. And that's the sticking point with the players. Players' safety. Yeah, money is there, but the player's safety still is more valuable in the player's eyes than the NFL's American dollar eyes. This is what he said further, Ben Patrick. Even with player compensation, you are now asking guys to play like 2 preseason games, okay? Probably 3. 17-game seasons and potentially 4 playoff games. Because if you play 3, then you're going to have to play a Super Bowl. So that is a that's 23 games in 5 months. 24 games if you have the 3 preseason games. So what he's getting to is a lot of abuse to the body, a lot of wear and tear, a long football season. Those Monday mornings, Tuesday morning, wake up to get out and get body ready for another game will get tougher. The season will stretch out into February, okay? So February is not going to be the first Sunday where a Super Bowl is played in February. That's every February, first Sunday in February, Super Bowl Sunday. It'll get pushed back another week. It goes to the middle of the week. Then it starts to challenge other sports, unfortunately. But football doesn't care. They're going to do what they can. They are snowplowing the sports world other than soccer. But we're going to get football we get it year round, but actual games from preseason from August through February, Super Bowl Sunday. The fans gain a lot out of it because they have what they want more. Globally, they get what they want more. And that's where I believe this is going to expand even further internationally. Matter of fact, I still believe that this sets up a bigger reason to have an expansion team in the UK. London, the calling is there for you to have a team once this proposal gets approved. Teams will have 2 extra bye weeks, by the way. That's also in the proposal. 2 extra bye weeks. No, 2 bye weeks. Not just one now. They'll get 2 bye weeks. So that also is beneficial, which also sets it up for teams to travel overseas to play a team in London that is called the London Monarchs, and or the London Queens or the London Kings, or whatever they want to call London, right? And the players who are traveling will benefit from the bye week to get back and still have another week to recuperate and get ready for a home game or whatever it is back here in America. That's how I see this playing out further, is that the league will now start sending a expansion team to the to the UK. UK, London, you are 2 years away, 2 years away from getting a team. Not this year, not 2021, probably 2022. London, your calling is there. If the NFL approves this, London gets their team. I will be so surprised if London does not get their team in a couple of years. Give them a couple of years to prepare, to plan, to operate, get everything going, and then boom. Now they're ready, stadium ready, everything's ready to go to get into a stadium and roll. Now, if it's an expansion team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, which seems like that's the team that's going to move, if any team is moving, then they can immediately implement them in the schedule in 2021. So which means not this season, obviously, but in 2021, the following year, the NFL will have a 17-game schedule. It's ready to go. So Jacksonville Jaguars, you are on the brink of losing your team if this is the case. You are that close for losing your team in Jacksonville is going to lose their team. Unless London gets a expansion team. But then there becomes an odd number and the odd schedule. And then how does that play out with an odd 17-game schedule number? The NFL has the math figured out already. They would not be proposing this unless they knew exactly how scheduling and their future plans internationally, everything's played out. They know exactly where it's going. So just make sure you know that. Okay? All right. Comments coming in. I appreciate it. I know this is a topic that you like, and I had to get through that. So as I'm reading through your comments here, again, the NFL is going to probably, let's say this. They're going to get an expansion to the playoffs in 2020. So an extra team makes the playoffs. That is going to be proposed, and it's going to be the first one of these proposals of schedules out of the gate is the playoff expansion in 2020. The 17-game schedule will be in 2021. We got Chad, we got Terry, we got Dina in the house. We have Zach in the house. We have Louis Sharp in the house. We have Dawn. We have Todd. Louis says, what up, everybody? Hey, Louis. Hey, Lou, what do you think about this 17-game schedule, man? I know it's exciting to make more money, but like Ben Patrick, the former tight end of the Cardinals, said, Well, is it money over human life? Basically, he's saying. The players should be primary, but this seems more like the money is the primary more than the player. Now, the player's got to make that decision. You've been in, Luis, you've been in meetings like this with negotiations. You have been in some of the most intense collective bargaining agreements with the NFL. You are one of the big dogs in it. You know what goes on. How do you sit on that? I'd love to hear Luis's comments if he's still there. Juan, Antonio, Adrian in the house. Hey, and Luis, if you call me, call the phone, call my phone, and we'll put you on through the audio wise. If you want to talk just over the phone, just call me right now, and I will we'll put you on the air. Just call my phone, and I'll loop you right in. Okay, if you're still there, Luis. Juan Otero on the house. Juan says, if it ain't broken, then leave it. That's a good one. Scotty, Danny in the house. Juan's coming out of the gates strong here. You might have something there, Rabbit. We got here Glenn Anderson, David Robles in the house. Let's see, Dover. Good morning, everybody. Alejandro in the house. Yeah, but it's the Jags move, and Jacksonville still wants their own team. That's a good point because there's an odd number. It'll be 30. Well, if the Jaguars move to London, then there's still 32 teams. If you add a team, then is there going to be a second international team? Does Mexico get their team? Think about Mexico. Or does Canada get their NFL team? Think about Canada. We can't exclude Canada. So I'm thinking Canada and Mexico are probably the second expansion over or across the borders overseas. Okay? Just put that in perspective right there. I believe they need an even number. I believe. Look, just not looking at it in clear detail, though. Okay. All right. How about this? I want to try to see if I can get a hold of them right now. It'll be kind of cool if I did. Is Louis Sharp? If Louis is still there, I don't know if he wants to call. He's probably working out with some big weights, pumping about 300 pounds like he was in college, ripping it up. I'll talk to him on the phone. I don't know if he'll answer because he may be working out. And if he doesn't, then we'll catch him another day because this is still going to continue when it comes to the agreement. The players have until March 18th, if I'm not mistaken. Let's say the players have until let's see here, March 18th. Yes, March 18th. So the NFL Players Association has until March 18th to accept the 17-game schedule. So there's time. There's a little over a month or about a month to go for the players to make this decision. They're all going to get around. They're all going to figure it out. Okay. And if they do accept it, then 2021 will have a 17-game schedule. 2020 will have the expansion of the playoffs. Okay. And that will be awesome. And then look for London getting their team. And don't be surprised if Mexico gets thrown in there or even Canada. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it hasn't been, it has been talked about, but it hasn't been brought up in this so-called proposal, at least by word of mouth, by rumors, by what we know. But once this thing gets approved, the NFL is probably going to come back and say, we're going to go overseas and expand another team or two. Just be ready, guys. Just be ready for all that to happen, okay? All righty. Juan says, Mexico would be nice for Mexico to get a team. Yeah, they've been part of the NFL for a while now. They get their games. They're going to get another game this year. So they're ready. The NFL has already implemented themselves. They've rooted themselves. The fans do show up. And, if it's Mexico City, that's probably the most logical place because of the population. But I do know that Mexico City, they say, is sinking. They're having a lot of sinkholes in Mexico City. So I don't know if you want a stadium being dropped there or a team there. But I don't know if that's a joke or not, but it's real. But the other sites, Aztec Stadium is a beautiful place. They can build their own if they have to. And who is the owner? Is it going to be a Mexican owner, or does London get a UK owner involved, or is it Jacksonville's owner involved? It really starts to get into other areas when you're talking about expansion overseas across the border. By the showing in Canada from last year's preseason game, it wasn't really that big of a deal for the fans in Canada. Probably because they see a lot of NFL games already and they cross over a lot. They go to a lot of games. But Toronto or Montreal would be fantastic. I think closer to the border would be great. Vancouver is still a great sports town. Great sports town, Vancouver. So Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal could be the Canadian spot. Not too far. I mean, actually, Buffalo and Montreal are like neighbors. And I don't want to see Buffalo going to Montreal. I just opened up that can of worms because there was talk about that already. But you don't have to. Just put a team there. If you're going to go this route, baseball's done it with the Toronto and Montreal teams. It was the Expos at one point. Basketball has the Raptors. Okay, they did have a team in Vancouver. All right, so we have already crossed into Canada a few times. Mexico has yet to get their team. This may be their time for the NFL to dabble over the border and get a team in London and Mexico. I think that would be the best place to do it. I think it would be fantastic, actually. Denise in the house. Sean in the house. We got Juan in the house. We got Jaime Moreno in the house. Winnipeg. I don't think Winnipeg has the population size, and for fans to travel. Like, it's so easy for fans in the Northeast to travel 5 hours to get to Toronto, to get to Montreal. Actually, closer than that if you're in the Buffalo or in that north. Like, if you're in Michigan, you're really close to Canada. Detroit, Michigan is really close to Canada. So you got to really see it in a different way. Even places like Chicago, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, New England, the New York teams, the Jets and the Giants. If you're from Philly or New York, you're really and Pittsburgh, you're really just traveling about 5 hours to Montreal if there's a team in Montreal. So that's not bad. Flying there is really easy too. Okay, it's like going cross country at that point. That's not really, because I think it's a lot closer than that. I think it's a lot closer than that, if I'm not mistaken. But not bad. Not a bad scenario to have it in that area. Now, if you're in the West, Vancouver is really close to Seattle. It's about a 2-hour drive to Vancouver from Seattle. So that is not a problem. And everybody on the West Coast, from the Raiders and the Cardinals and all the teams in California, an easy flight. You can fly to Seattle and drive into Vancouver if you had to get to a game. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. All right, more comments coming in about the NFL expansion. The NFL expansion to 17 games in 2021, not approved yet. The NFL players still have to get to it. Okay, still have to get to it. Also, I like the playoff scenario. Let's go back and remind you what would have happened this year and what will happen next season, that an extra team is going to be in the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers would have been playing the Kansas City Chiefs in the wild card game, while the Rams would have been playing the Packers. Both those teams lost out of sneaking in. But now this proposal that looks like the expansion of the playoffs is all there. It's ready to go. Is that it's going to allow more teams to get in the playoffs. If you're an 8-8 team, if you're a 7-9 team, you got a shot. Think about that. Let's think about this. You are a 7-19. Okay, you're 7-9. You got a chance to make the playoffs. It's not the great. I mean, you can get hot. You can do what the Seattle Seahawks did a couple of years ago: 7-9, win a division, and then beat the Saints and get a home game, which always made no sense to me. But here's the thing: if you are a wild card team, you are not going to get a home game. Okay, there's another a part of the proposal out there for playoffs. Okay, another proposal of the playoffs that if you run it's laid out to where you are more punished by being a wild card team, which means you now have to go 3 games on the road and you got to go to a Super Bowl, which is not unusual. Not unusual. But the hard part is if you're a number 2 seed, this is the point. You got to go and play 3 games to get to a Super Bowl. So now it puts more emphasis on the number 1 seed. More emphasis on the number 1 seed overall. I don't know. I don't know if this is Luis calling. Let me find out. Hello.
Hi, this is Aaron.
Nope, it's not Luis. It's Aaron. All right. I sometimes I get phone calls from different numbers. I don't know why. Let's get back to it, guys. I got your comments. Warren Canop in the house. We got Chris Jones in the house. We got you're about 6 hours from Canada, Juan. So that's not far. I mean, it's a nice little road trip. It's like driving from LA to Arizona. Vegas is about a 4.5 hour drive to LA. If you're in the northeast area, like the New York area, you drive to Pittsburgh, it's 5 hours. You go up north to New England, Boston area. I mean, there's trains. I mean, you can get on a train and get up north, and get over into Canada and, rent a car and cross over. Like I said, you can rent a car, fly to Seattle and go to Vancouver, drive 2 hours. It's a beautiful drive. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous drive from Seattle to Vancouver. It's phenomenal. But those are my spots. The Mexico expansion would be more challenging for fans because you just can't get in a car and go. Flying there, no problem. Fans will always do that. But at the same time, the convenience of just getting across the border and going somewhere for a few hours and driving. I don't know how many fans would actually drive that far into Mexico. That's the other, it's a long drive anyway, if you're going to one of those stadiums. Now, Casper in the house. I got a lot of good comments coming in. I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Todd says, I have uncles, family in Canada too. Oh, I get you. So you're all thinking Canada also. I think Canada would be a very obvious spot if you're just trying to make it convenient for the players. But it's not really a stretch to stretch it overseas or stretch it further away. And how far can you go? It's a 5-6 hour flight to get to Hawaii. Trying to have a game in Japan would be very difficult. Okay. But now, if you want to go to London, why not like a place in Germany where they love their football in Germany? Love it. What about Ireland? You think the Irish would love it? The Fighting Irish of the NFL? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think Ireland and a London team would be huge for the NFL because of what? You got rivals immediately. Immediately, you'll have a rival between the Irish and the English, and they'll go at it big time. So, I mean, that's the expansion that you're thinking about when it comes to the NFL. Convenience, logic, marketability, money. But the players may not want to beat up their bodies for $5 billion for the long term. Now, the guy at the bottom of the barrel making bottom barrel money, still doing well, better than us, but his body's getting beat up and could be crippled and not having enough financial support. this may benefit them. This may also benefit who? I hope they take the $5 billion and help out those former players, those veterans who are crippled. This is a topic for another day, though. We'll hold on to it until when this gets finalized. But what about those players who are crippled? That $5 million that the in the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement that the NFL Players Association would have to agree upon with the owners. How does and where does that money go for the players? Do they actually help out the veterans? The guys who are 80 years old, beat up, knee replacement, crippled, mental issues. Like, is there a way to help the men who open the doors for you to play and to make the millions of dollars that you're playing with right now? That's a bigger issue for me. That's an issue that I mean I've been talking to I'll be talking to Luis Sharp just connected with me. We're going to talk to him later on this afternoon. I'll probably bring him on tomorrow if he's available. We'll talk about this tomorrow, okay? Or soon enough, because it's a topic that Luis Sharp has been deeply involved in when it comes to negotiation. He's been in those big rooms. He's done it. The stories are great, but I remember when we met up with Luis over the summer at a beautiful event at a local church that he likes going to, and Cameron Jordan's father was there, the former tight end of the Minnesota Vikings Hall of Famer, and they were talking about the days of the negotiation and the CBA, and how those were tough times, and they were trying to do the right thing, and all those guys in that room, and I just stood there and listened to something that was very unique, insightful. And that's what guys like Luis Sharp can do, not just for us, the fans, to understand, but also have an implement part to like these players, these current players, being advised. These are the guys that they need to go to talk about. But I also believe they need to help the former players. If these is $5 billion, think about it, that's a lot of money, man. That's additional money per year. I know it's spread out and shared in contracts and things like that, but somehow, some way, that money needs to be shared. Okay, I've connected a lot recently with a lot of the wives, of former NFL players, and I've contacted a couple of them. I said hi, and boom, more of them started talking to me because I support them. These wives have been through a lot, watching their husbands fade away physically, mentally, and die off, okay, in many aspects. And they told me a lot of stories, and they are not happy the way the veterans are being treated for a sport that is multi-billions, man. Billions, man. I mean, it's like, are we going to hit trillions with this organization, right? The NFL. And there's a veteran. I remember Freddie Joe Nunn. Remember Freddie Joe Nunn? Freaking guy was awesome. He played linebacker. He played defensive line for the Cardinals, right? For the St. Louis Cardinals and the Phoenix Cardinals when it was the Phoenix Cardinals. And I remember doing a couple of FaceTime with Freddie. And Freddie will also send me, we just talked. And I don't know where Freddie is. He sort of disappeared, and I hope he's okay. I know he has had some serious physical health issues. And I don't know where Freddie Joe Nunn is right now. Freddie Nunn came close to me over the last couple of years. But this guy was playing at a high level, and he's sitting in a small kitchen with small little plates, and not to, the guy is very humbled about what he did in life and very humbled about everything he did in the NFL. But there he was in this kitchen with a beautiful lady, a beautiful wife of his, sitting there just playing house. But you can see that his life behind him wasn't anything extraordinary. It wasn't lavish stuff, it wasn't a big, beautiful home. The impression I got was small, tiny, getting by. Getting by was my impression. Now I know he gets pensions, but that pension money is not enough for a guy who is now that I remember telling me physically hurt, struggling. I know Louis Sharp, teammates struggled or struggling. There are a lot of players struggling that we don't even hear about that have disappeared. If the NFL Players Association makes $5 extra billion with the 17 game potential season, they have to approve the proposal by March 18th. Please, please give back to those veterans. Find a percentage of that money each year to give back. Make sure every one of them can tap into them. Make sure every one of them can apply or submit something so they can actually get something back. You know, $1,000 a month for these veterans that are not a lot out there can do a lot more for them because that takes care their medical bills a lot of maybe not even enough. I mean, it may not even be enough. I'm sorry. I don't want to undercut that because I heard stories. But it may not be enough. May not be enough. But you can see where I'm going. Out of the billions of dollars, the $5 billion, you can at least throw a couple of K's at them, you know? 2K, 2 grand. You know what I'm saying? Throw something there so every year they know on top of their pension, they get more. They're going to get an additional. They deserve it. Life has gotten more expensive. The cost of living has gone up. And their pension is stuck at a rate that is not matching today's life. And with all their medical bills, how the heck do these guys get over the top? Go and talk to a wife of a former NFL player. You can talk to an NFL player and they'll tell you, but now go to a wife and you get a different perspective because of what they've gone through. Professional athletes have a lot of pride. And it's hard for them to also open up about their struggles and protecting the game and not going out too far to ruin their name. It's reality. But those wives, they won't hold back. They're going to speak and they're going to talk to you. They've lived decades of this. They've lived through NFL seasons and post-career. It's a great topic. I got a lot of comments coming. I see you guys. I'm going to start from the bottom up. I got more news to talk to you. Got a lot of hey Paula. Dawn says she's agrees with the money being shared with the veterans. Elizabeth in the house, Joe Moreno, Robert Dolfo in the house. We have Cassandra in the house. Hey Cassandra. Jesse Bergane Hoover in the house. Hey Jesse. Floyd Flaherty and Elizabeth Fielder in the house. Elizabeth Fielder, you've seen enough with professional athletes, you know. Robert Trevino in the house. Who else we got here? And is it Anna? I'm sorry, Anna Policcio in the house. A big Italiano in the house. Roger Kincaid in the house. Love you guys. All right, let me get to more topics here, okay? I think I may have missed you. All right, let's move on. And thank you for joining me on YouTube, Instagram, and also Facebook Live right here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Listening live right now at the .com, GSBN, Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Tom Brady being pursued by the Tennessee Titans. And they are the number one team right now, from what the reports are coming out from ESPN and other insiders, that Tom Brady has connections with the Titans in a certain way and may be willing not to bring back Ryan Tannehill, who was just absolutely fantastic for the Titans in their big playoff Super Bowl push this past season. Now, there's a risk involved. If they tag Tannehill, that means he has to come back and play. And then do they go after Tom Brady, the Tennessee Titans? Here's the catch. Here's the catch. Tom Brady has connections with the coaching staff with the Tennessee Titans. Okay? He's got the head coach, Mike Vrabel, former teammate. So there is a connection there that people are trying to expand on in regards to that. Okay? Don't be fooled by the fact that that is not a strong possibility. It is a very strong possibility. All right, more news around the NFL. Okay, let me pop it out for you. Here's a nice one for you. Here's a really nice little story for you. Okay, the Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. I don't know if you read this yet or seen this yet, but Kyler Murray is being a big advocate for a wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb of Oklahoma. Okay? Kyler Murray wants him, wants a new weapon. Sounds like he's not happy other than Larry Fitzgerald. Kyler Murray is the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals and probably will be for a long time as long as he can play game and stay healthy and still play the game at a high level, right? Now, through the Arizona Republic, Kyler Murray told the Arizona Republic, "Me and CD have a great relationship. That's one of my boys," he said. "I would obviously be very fond of that pick. Obviously, I don't make the decisions. I'm here for whatever. But I'm looking forward to free agency and adding some great players and adding more of them in the draft." He also says, "If we pick CD, that would be great. We have a very comfortable relationship. I've played with him. I've been with him for years. So, yeah, I don't think that would be a bad pick at all." Steve Keim, general manager, had something to say. He said this on a local sports radio station. "From my text stream, or from the text streaming," Steve Keim says, sharing his thoughts, "you can tell Kyler Murray likes him." All right, but where does it go? Is this a knee-jerk reaction Steve Keim decision to go ahead and get a CD that, just because your quarterback likes him doesn't mean he's a good fit or he's going to be an NFL wide receiver, like a good one. So don't just like dabble into everything because relationships are good. It's about the player and production. And the Arizona Cardinals have struck out and struck out and struck out on wide receivers. Think about it. I mean, Bolden and Fitzgerald are the last two studs. But since then, they've struck out. They just cannot find the future for a very long time. And Larry Fitzgerald has yet to find anybody next to him. So for all the critics that came after me a year ago about how I am displeased about the wide receiver corpse with the Arizona Cardinals, and I have been for a while, are you satisfied from last year's team? Do you really think Christian Kirk is a number one? He is at best a number two. And I will tell you right now, he'll be a number three this season if the Cardinals find themselves a stud in the draft. Just put that in perspective, folks. Christian Kirk is an NFL wide receiver, and he belongs on a roster, and he belongs to start on a team. He does. But the infatuation that you had from 2 years ago, reality wasn't real to you. He's nothing more than a number two. He has to really find a way to be number one, and he hasn't done it. He hasn't given enough. And he's more likely to end up a number three because the Cardinals are seeking a replacement number one for Larry Fitzgerald because you don't know how long Larry will be around. And they don't even throw the ball to Larry that much as a number one in my eyes. They don't even throw to him. So CeeDee Lamb's nice guy, nice name, played well in college, but could be a bust still. You got to make sure. So that's why do not draft a wide receiver in the first two rounds. Put that down. If you do, I'm going to be all over you, Steve Keim, because enough is enough. I don't care if your quarterback likes whatever. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You can find wide receivers that are better or can fit your system, that system. You missed out on two wide receivers in the second round last year that were studs in 2019, and you missed out on Deebo Samuel of the Niners in the third round. So what are you doing this year, Steve Keim? I have no trust in you. I have absolutely no trust in you. Do not draft a wide receiver in the first or second round for the Arizona Cardinals. Do not. You can find them in the third and the fourth and the fifth. They're always there. Teams are plucking them every year, and they're big players. You can find a stud in the second round, and you are banking on it, then go for it. Now, you do have one guy from Iowa State that we don't know about yet. He was injured last year for the Cardinals. If he shows up and performs like a number one or close to it, why push it? Why push a wide receiver so early in the draft? It's like you keep swinging and missing. No, somebody else needs another turn or do something different. How many times do you want to get hit over the head, right? So when Kyler Murray's asking for this wide receiver, it could be beautiful. It could be magical. But what are the needs of the Arizona Cardinals? There are a lot of there's going to be a lot of nice wide receivers in free agency. Samuels, the former Bronco, the former Steeler Bronco, and now San Francisco 49er free agent, is wide open. He's an easy number one, but do you want to spend? How are you going to play it out? Where are you going with this money? See, it's all there. You can find a nice wide receiver in free agency. You really can. They're there. This touches on more topic with the Cardinals. In my book, immediately, offensive lineman, offensive tackle. I would love to see them get an offensive tackle and a center. You gotta find your future center. You are banking on a banged up, injury prone, middle of the line. You haven't had a stable center that you can have for 10 years. But not just somebody that is decent. You got to go find yourself a dominant center. If he's out there in that first round or that second round, you go get him. Get the best center on the board, because that center will now help everybody else out, even your offensive tackles. The middle of the line will be secured better, more protection. The blitzes up the middle will be protected better. The run block, everything about that center position starts right in the middle, right in the offensive line. So I'm looking at offensive tackle in the center spot. Now, they did get one last year from Georgia, a center from Georgia, which was really good in college, but never really got enough playing time. I want to see how this guy develops still. And he still may be the future, but you got to give him a chance to learn the game. Cardinals, go get your tackle. Go get a stud. Go get an offensive tackle right away. Don't hesitate. But you also need a defensive lineman and you need a linebacker. Ideally, you want to go offensive line and then defense second round. You got to go get some two good ones right away for two big needs on your team. That's why wide receiver, it just doesn't, you don't need it that early. You don't need it that early. Matter of fact, I would rather see a tight end drafted early than I see a wide receiver. I would rather see a stud like the ones that you're seeing coming out of college. They are the Gronkowski prototype tight ends that you're seeing all over the NFL. The NFL tight end position is the game. A lot of the game planning goes through the tight end. A lot of it now. Thank you to the New England Patriots. And these players are amazing tight ends. Athletically, physically, they catch the ball, they block. They are everything, and there are so many of them now. You find one of those, I'd rather have that than a wide receiver. If I was picking, what do I be picking first for the Cardinals? I would pick a stud tight end over a wide receiver because the way the game is structured today, the way, well, the players are, who they are. Comments coming in. Comments coming in. I see you. Oh, I heard that rumor, Juan, about Odell Beckham Jr. going back to New York as a Jet. Make the Cardinals. All he did was make the Cardinals, or can I call it an inception? Yes. Consuela in the house. Levon in the house. Good, good. Don Baum in the house. Dan Baum in the house. I'm sorry, Dan. Christine in the house. Cruzamano. What's up, Brooklyn girl? Diane in the house. Paul in the house. I got you. More comments coming. I saw you, Todd. Todd wrote a book. Cesar in the house. Cesar in the house. Kyler Murray. Look what he did to Rosen. I know it's all never been nice and comfortable, but Rosen needs to perform. You know, and this is the next topic for the show. The next topic is Rosen. Not Rosen, Murray. Okay. You're the Arizona Cardinals. For the last 2 years, you have traded away to get Rosen and move up. Bad year, bad coaching, the worst season in Cardinal history. And a lot of it's being blamed on Rosen because he was playing most of the time now. But Rosen was a rookie with a lame, disgusting team. No offensive. It was dead. You know that. Guy, bad situation. Then they trade him on draft day to the Dolphins so the Cardinals can draft. Well, we're going to draft Murray anyway. And they get the Dolphins to bite. Dolphins get Rosen. So the Cardinals have been very active with quarterbacks on draft day for the last 2 years. Now here we are with Joe Burrow, Herbert from Oregon, a bunch of good quarterbacks out there. Okay? And it makes you wonder, not just the Cardinals, but the Lions, the Dolphins, the Chargers, the Panthers, the Buccaneers, to name a few. Why wouldn't you want to trade up? What would stop you? Are you that convinced that Murray is the guy? But here's my question for all those teams, because they have Stafford in Detroit. You know, Miami definitely needs a quarterback. The Chargers really need a future quarterback, but they have some veteranship. They have Tyrod Taylor there. Carolina has a young quarterback, could bring in a veteran in. The Buccaneers at this point do not have a quarterback. Winston is a free agent. Well, he will be by March 18th. Okay, so where are the Buccaneers in this? The Buccaneers are 7-9 team, so they have to move up big time to go get Burrow. The Panthers, the Chargers, the Dolphins are all 5-11. The Cardinals are 5-10-1. They're all bunched in there. The Lions are 3-12-1. I think the Lions picked number 3 in the draft or number 2. Forget. Now, is Joe Burrow a bigger upside than a Kyler Murray? I want you to think about that. Go deeper. If you know Joe Burrow, if you watch this guy, Kyler Murray did not elevate his team to win it all for Oklahoma. Joe Burrow did in 1 year. Kyler Murray had 1 year to do it for Oklahoma. Joe Burrow did it. But Joe Burrow appears to have a bigger upside. long-term upside, the way they've been talking about him. If you go back a year ago with Kyler Murray, and now you're talking Burrow, Kyler Murray was not talked about the way they're talking about Joe Burrow. Put that in perspective, folks. Now we see Murray, what he's been able to do at the NFL level. He succeeded. He did fine for a rookie. Now we wait and see if he gets better with more talent or he is what he is. Joe Burrow this year is talked about being a no-brainer. A year ago, Kyler Murray was not considered a no-brainer. There was a lot of talk that if the Cardinals don't pick Kyler Murray, Murray is going to drop out of the top 10. Because the Giants were going after Daniel Jones. They saw Daniel Jones as a better quarterback. Well, that was their guy. Just putting it in perspective. Now we know what Murray can do, and you see that he is capable. I'm not going to give it. Rookie of the Year honor is a bull crap to me these days. I mean, I could have given it to Josh Jacobs of the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. You know, easily could have given it to that guy. There were a lot of young, talented Rookie of the Years on offense. Wide receivers that were just studs all over the place. But they gave it to Kyler. Fine. I don't know why, but it was a close vote. So don't put your hat on like, well, he got the award. To me, BS. Doesn't make a difference. But it does because he was recognized in this aspect. Because he did have good numbers. But then again, this is the new NFL. This is all about passing. This is all about rule changes to make the passing game more exciting for every team. And quarterbacks today are putting up numbers that you couldn't put up a few years ago, a few years back. So what is the real measuring point for quarterbacks in today's game? You know, running backs, if you ran for 1,000 yards, it was huge. Today is more valuable because it's hard to run it for 1,000 yards because you don't get enough touches. It used to be that if you threw for 3,000 yards in the NFL, that was a huge quota, like a huge measuring point of greatness. But then when Dan Marino, 4,000 yards, it was like, how the heck does that happen? The game was changing. Dan Marino is my GOAT, the greatest of all time. He did things that today they're still doing what he did 30 years ago. Joe Montana. And Joe Montana. But the league, the game itself. So where is the measuring point of quarterbacks' statistical numbers that fantasy people and everybody is so gluten over, right? What is going on here about measuring how great you really are when it comes to the metrics of what the game is? When other quarterbacks are still, Daniel Jones very well could have been Rookie of the Year for offense. He could have easily been Offensive Rookie of the Year. His numbers were just as good or better than Kyler Murray in many areas. So just put that in perspective. So don't put your hat on Kyler Murray Rookie of the Year stuff. Okay? Don't do it. Because I can easily argue and debate other guys. It's just a vote, and somebody felt this way more than the other way. And it came out to be Kyler. It wasn't a landslide. It wasn't obvious that it was going to be Kyler Murray. I'm putting this in perspective because Joe Burrow is out there. And a lot of scouts were all over Herbert, too, from Oregon. These are good-looking studs. But if Joe Burrow is everything and anything and everything that you heard and been fed all season long last year, why wouldn't you consider it? Because the Cardinals have Murray. You hold on to Murray, and if he doesn't pan out to be great, He's an NFL quarterback. Is he a Tyrod Taylor? Is he a Bridgewater who does good and gets things done? Or is he going to be elite? Russell Wilson to me is elite. Is he going to be Russell Wilson? I'm not going to bring up Lamar Jackson because he's a different. His game is different, a lot different than Kyler Murray. But the Cardinals sitting at what, the 8th spot? You trade up. I mean, would you be upset as a Cardinal fan if Joe Burrow, they traded up to go get Joe Burrow, and you traded with the Cincinnati Bengals, and you give the Bengals your 8th pick and another pick, and maybe David Johnson? Like, just load them up, man, and go get your future quarterback in that aspect. You're like, what are the Cardinals doing? We got Kyler Murray. I fell in love with them. Well, get over it. You fell in love with Rosen. You fell in love with a lot of guys, and they're gone. You love Tyrann Mathieu, and he's gone. He's a Super Bowl champion. You fell in love with Calais Campbell, and he wins award. He's all pro. He's still out playing at a high level, but he's gone. Don't get so caught up. But it's not going to happen because of what the Cardinals have been developing. But I'm just going to put it out there. Because I know the Lions, the Dolphins, and Chargers, and the Panthers, and the Buccaneers are probably trying to find a way to get out there and go get Burrow. No doubt. No doubt. Joe Burrow, it appears to be not comfortable going to Cincinnati, or he's playing leverage. He wants his contract. Most likely, I think he's going to hold out. I think he's going to hold out wherever he gets picked. Whoever picks Joe Burrow, I believe he's going to hold out. Not because he doesn't want to play there. He's going to try to get some big-time dollars. The going rate dollar. I think they're going to ask for $20, $25 million a year. If Dak Prescott is asking for $30 million, if Teddy Bridgewater is asking for $30 million, then a rookie with that kind of status is going to ask for $30 million or 25. I mean, do they get it? But they're going to ask for it. This could be a very ugly offseason with a lot of holdouts. Could be. The dollars are there. The players know, the rookies know that if this CBA, collective bargaining agreement, gets finalized, there's a lot more money out there, which means these rookies know that I can get paid even more now. So just think about that when you're drafting somebody, that these rookies know that their agents know that now they can ask for more money because, hey, $5 billion is going to get shared. So there's ways to get money, more ways to get money. Cardinals, if you want to trade up, I'm okay to go get Joe Burrow. I'll be more excited for the future of the Cardinals if you pull that one off. I don't think it would happen, but it's like, goes back to what I said yesterday. If you didn't hire Cliff Kingsbury, you never would have had a Kyler Murray. And are you saying, thank God we have Kyler Murray, thank God you have Cliff Kingsbury? Well, you got 1 year on your belt. You're 5-10-1. Your team needs more help. You need more talent to even know if this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, yikes. And you missed out on a lot of opportunities on some great talent. They're in love with Steve Keim. I don't know why. But this is like an off season for the Cardinals to figure this one out. And again, I'm going to hear it again. Oh, I love him. I'm so excited. Isabella is what? Think about it. I couldn't believe how many people were in love with Isabella. Oh, man, he looks good, man. You know what? Nonsense. History tells you more than what you are living in the moment. Judge by history, right? I get judged all the time by my history, man. Sometimes not good. But I got to take it. I got to take my lickings, man. And I got to do better, right? Is Steve Keim really doing better for him, for the team, for the fans? My gosh. Keyshawn Johnson, Christian Kirk. We got it, baby. We got a future, man. We're going to be awesome. That's what I heard. Oh, don't be hard. We got to give it time. Give it time. Give what time? Give what time? What time do you want? Before it's over, the Niners have won 2 more Super Bowls. The Seahawks have made it to a Super Bowl. The Rams have rejuvenated themselves because they have a core there. And the Cardinals are still trying to get through a tough division. What are you doing? This is what you're up against in the NFC West. Just saying, folks. Put it in perspective. Put it in perspective. All right. I got to get going here in a minute. I'm going to just dabble in on one baseball story, and then we're going to leave and come back on a Friday. Okay. Maybe I'll have a guest star for tomorrow. But Lorraine in the house, Leroy Thompson. Hey, Leroy. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate it. All right. This is a great topic today about the new proposal of the schedule of the NFL. And we'll see where this goes from here. We're going to talk about it more in detail. I think it's a good topic for the NFL. More baseball stories will come out. Spring training is here. And this is a baseball story. The Houston Astros are taking their hits. They're going to take a lot of hits with their cheating scandal. The Boston Red Sox, they're not off the hook yet. There's going to be a decision maybe today or tomorrow about their situation. I don't know, maybe even today. Sometimes these things come down really early in the day, most likely on Fridays, because they try to get into the weekend when there's controversy. They try to do it that way. Nothing really coming down with baseball, football-wise. Let me see anything big. But I want to get to this baseball story about the Houston Astros. Okay, the Houston Astros players are actually getting into what? The players are getting into a fight game with their opponents, with the other players, with the media, with the fans. One by one, each day, somebody else is stepping out of the Houston Astros locker room and is making this a what? Me against the world mentality. This is how they're playing their season. We're going to be saying this all baseball season long. So here we go again. A former Red Sox, a current Houston Astro, Josh Riddick, wants to speak out. He says Astros are going to win and shut everybody up. This is how they think now. And they should, because that's all they got. And it's the only way people will shut up. But you didn't have to tell us that. But even if you do win, nobody's going to shut up. You still cheated. I will remind Astro fans, baseball fans, and Astros players, if they're listening, is this. You're not going to shut anybody up unless you do it for a long period of time. And even then, people are still going to doubt you because they don't trust you. They don't trust you. So they're always going to assume you're still finding a way to cheat. All right. Recapping everything for today. Thank you, guys. I'm going to recap real quick, and then we'll close it out. If you want to replay the show, that'd be great. The NFL is one step closer to expanding to 17 games, 2021. It'll be voted by March 18th with the players to vote on it. The expansion of the NFL playoff games in 2020 seems to be ready to go. They say it's confirmed, but we'll make sure it's all in details. Okay. Players, will they accept it? The NFL players accept the 17-game schedule. That is a big topic. The revenue sharing is huge. An additional $5 billion will be given back to the players in a sharing of the lots of money is going to be made with the extra game on the schedule. Okay. There will be more bye weeks involved. There'll be 2 bye weeks involved. And we talked about the international game of the NFL. Expansion overseas and across the border is very possible more than ever if and when this gets accepted by the players of the 17-game schedule. Tom Brady is getting hot pursuit from the Tennessee Titans. That is a big deal because of the connection that he has with the coaching staff and people in Tennessee, like John Robinson and Mike Rebel. That makes it, and hey, and Houston's ready to win. They are that close to win, but they had Ryan Tannehill, and they were beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. I don't know what happened, but they blew it. Also, we talked about the Cardinals and their future and really decision making in the 2020 off season here. This is it. We talked about Kyler Murray. We talked about draft decisions and draft picks and where they should go. And really what Kyler Murray is saying about what he wants, and also about Joe Burrow. The potential holdout, the potential I don't want to play in Cincinnati, trade me, is out there. It hasn't been said by him. It's been provided and informed and advised for him to hold out. And nobody's really jumping out of their shoes that he's going to Cincinnati on both sides, from Cincinnati perspective and Joe Burrow's people. Just saying. So I'm wondering what team wants to jump up there and go get him. And I put it out there as a fun way of putting it, but if the Cardinals still dabble around with quarterbacks, is Joe Burrow has a bigger upside than a Kyler Murray? I know it's hard to swallow, but hey, you thought Rosen was a higher or was a great pick, a great decision. I saw the fans get excited for that pick. And then you did switch out last year. So why not this year? Just saying. Not that it's going to happen. Not that it's been talked about. There's no rumors about it. But you're in striking distance to do it with that 8th pick. And if Joe Burrow is the can't miss Peyton Manning kind of guy, why would you do it? Why would you not do it? Also, think about that. If this is the big time, this is the future of the NFL. I know everybody talks about the Kyler Murray's, the Lamar Jackson, the Deshaun Watson quarterbacks, right? Russell Wilson doesn't fit that mold quite that way. He is a pocket quarterback, and he's proven that he can do it at a higher level because of his game is better and different than those quarterbacks. But the future of the game is not, it's the taller quarterback who runs like a Kyler Murray, who runs like a Russell Wilson. We watched those guys already play in the national championship game with who? Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. Your future is there. These are the guys. These are the quarterbacks that's overtaking the game. You're already seeing them, but this is the fuller package. This is the bigger package. You're going to have a Peyton Manning mindset, a Tom Brady mindset, the height and size of these quarterbacks, maybe even bigger, but they're going to be very mobile. Very mobile. They're going to run and take if they have to. They can still do what Kyler Murray does and Lamar Jackson does when they need to. But they can make a bigger throw instead of a bigger run. Put this all in perspective. And it's safer to make a bigger throw than trying to run for a big play. Put that in perspective, folks. This is just a stopgap for these quarterbacks, I'm telling you. They have to prove that they're bigger and better than what the new wave of young quarterbacks are coming in. It's already begun. The avatar of NFL quarterbacks have begun. All righty, guys. I appreciate it. Love you guys. I got to get out of here. Your comments are all over the place. I'm seeing it. Elizabeth, Paula, Diana, I got you guys. Let me get in there, and I got to say goodbye. I got to get out of here. Billy Wise in the house. Steven in the house. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Todd, I see your comment, Todd. I understand, guys. All right. Let me get out of here right here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook Live. Got you guys. I love you. Appreciate it. It'll be a good Friday tomorrow. More of this tomorrow. Hopefully, a special guest for you too, right here on Hanna Time. Cornelius, Brad, Hannah. We'll see you tomorrow. It is a thirsty Thursday. I'm ready for my thirst to be quenched. How about you? All right, we'll see you tomorrow, folks. All right, YouTubers. We'll see you tomorrow, YouTubers. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.